Hey folks, Jonathan here. It's a beautiful Sunday morning so far. I think it's going to rain today, but we're going to try to work as much as we can in it. So, been working hard. Of course, everyone's saying I got the boiler set up here and cleaned up and trying to get ready. About where that the skid steer is sitting is where our Bates engine is going to sit. And we've got our Scholfield. I'm going to quit calling it a Taylor Ironwork. Even though Taylor Ironwork built it, it was actually, this is the Scholfield design. And after doing a lot of studying on that, on the original advertisements and stuff, you can see the Scholfield engine built by Taylor Ironworks. Well, the Taylor Ironworks engine does not curve in here. This base is straight. So this is 100% Scholfield design built by Taylor Ironworks. So we're going to call this the Scholfield engine instead of the Taylor engine and go from there. But anyway, it's hanging and ready to go, which I've got more work to do on our foundation. We've got everything cleaned off. We got, of course, our pole up. You know, the camera don't show it as nearly as well as what it actually, you can plainly see it in front of me. I mean, every time I shine that camera up, you can look through the lens and or look through the viewfinder there and tell that it just don't look the same. So here is our platform. I ended up doing block around the inside instead of, I was going to do 2 rows of bricks and set the bricks on it, but the blocks come out the right height. So we're right at 19.5 inches tall. I was shooting for 20, but that's plenty. What I was trying to do, sounds kind of crazy, the big flywheel is going to be on the other side, but what I didn't want was the flywheel to be so close to the concrete that if you was to get your foot in there or something, that it would slide between or crush your foot or something like that. I wanted to make sure it was up high enough to have a good area between it. So we're up plenty high enough, and over 4 inches I think, so we'll be fine there. But anyway, the plan. So the plan is, I've got the blueprints for the base for the Bates engine. I've also got the measurements I took while I was over there. So what we're doing now is I've got to build it up, and that sand clay that I went and picked up with my rollback, I got about half a bucket and they charged me $25, and I just thought that was kind of high for, you know, the sand that, well, half a bucket of sand anyway. So they may have a minimum or something there. So I have decided that I was just going to fire the backhoe up out back and dig out a couple more stumps, and when I get down there to the sand clay level, I'll just put some of it on my rollback and bring it around and use skid steer to take it off the rollback like I did with the other. Build the back section behind the skid steer up because it drops off, you know, a little bit low. And instead of digging in, I want to go up higher. This engine, unlike the blueprints, has that big plate that goes under the steam chest and the cylinder that, and I say steam chest, but I guess because it's a cordless, it's probably not a steam chest, but the cylinder, there is a big plate that goes under there, and that plate sort of makes it where you don't have to have them 2 pillars up there. So what we're going to do is, just like the engine was down at the swamp, it's going to be one full foundation. It's going to step down about 2 inches or somewhere around that, whatever the thickness of that plate is, and then, you know, the plate will be there for the cylinder, and then back at this side you'll have your the far side will be, you know, connected full concrete. There'll be a pit for the flywheel, and then on this side there'll be a pillar for the outer bearing. But we're going to tie that outer bearing column into the main concrete, you know, under the ground. And we're going to do that because we don't, you know, we definitely don't want that to move, because that's your support for your outer bearing. So that's the plan. We're going to get to work on that. And the reason I'm doing that, what I was trying to get to from the start here, we need to pour some concrete for that. Well, I need concrete to put inside of this, so there is no use in calling them, because this is not 3 yards, and they got a 3-yard minimum, so we need to go ahead and get some foundation done for that. We'll call them in, we'll do the foundation for the Bates and do this at the same time. We'll get this up and leveled. I've got what we've done is, Rich helped me. We used some paper and put underneath of that engine and actually marked out where the bolt holes are for the Scholfield engine. And now we have a pattern of where the studs go. So I'm going to lay it out on here, and then we're going to get all the studs mounted and everything, and then we'll set the engine down on it, and I'll grout it in, of course, and then set it down on it, and then we'll should be you know, ready to start doing the real stuff on it, like get a roof over it, get it cleaned up, get it painted, get, you know, all the oilers on it and stuff, and actually run that engine some. So that's the plan for that. And then like I said, we're working on where the baits goes. You know, I spent a lot of years thinking about that baits, and you know, even back 25 years ago I thought about, you know, setting it up and where I was going to set it, and you know, I've set it up probably 150 times in my head. So you know, I've already got an idea of what I want and what I want to do, and that's what we're going to do now. And you know, sort of like a long, I'm not going to say a dream coming true, but a long something that I wanted for a long time finally coming true. And so that's what we're working on. And so I'm charging the battery up for the backhoe. I haven't started it up in quite a while, so we need to get it charged up, and I'll get back here and get it started. I've got a flat tire on the front, but we're not going to let that stop us. I'm just going to pull over to the hole. We're not using it to drive around anyway. We're just going to dig with it. So we'll put that off for a little while because the tire's shot and I've got to go find one. I've got a Western Union telegraph sign coming from my building. That'll be our telegraph building, and of course our telegraph pole. And it's just, of course, a repop. I don't want to spend $2,000 on an original sign. So, all right, okay. So the old case is still running, still leaks here and there, still blows hoses every once in a while, but no trouble today so far. So I dug down about, I don't know, it's probably 9 or 10 feet down there. It's a good ways. And so far, I found some of the red sand clay, but not much. But then I got into this white gumbo clay, I guess. It's hard as a rock and thick. I don't know if it'll pack or what it's going to do. We're going to try it anyway. It worked good for fill, I guess. But there's a bunch of it, but you can see the reddish color of this and how good this stuff packs. But I wasn't expecting on getting into this white stuff. Okay folks, so started on the foundation for the Bates engine here. Started on it actually like the day before yesterday or something. We had nothing but rain yesterday, so I didn't get anything done. I do have to go back here and get some more fill. As you can see, it's 5 or 6 inches low on that corner. And I just went ahead and set this up so I could get a good idea of how high we got to go. Now this is really good packing clay here, so we'll get it in and get it all packed good. When I'm done, that's a 6 inch. It's going to be 12 inches tall. Well folks, looks like I'm just going to go buy a load of sand clay. Backhoe is down, but it's not down because of any other reason than I bought a cheap China starter for it. You know, things have gotten so bad now that you couldn't afford to buy a real starter for it. And the gear reductions seem to work better when they work, but it burned up just as quick as I was trying to start it. So anyway, so I guess I'll just pay the $25 or whatever and get my load of sand clay and get back here, and so I can get this job done, because if not, I'm going to be waiting for a starter to come in. So anyway, we did find some water, and it has filled up quite a bit, and we're just going to let her sit and see what happens, and hopefully no one will be back here. There's no reason why anybody would be back here. I might throw maybe some logs around it or something, but you know, we're next to a sand pit right here, so you know, there's open pits everywhere there, so this is not anything new around this area. The difference is they're you know, 50, 60 feet, some of them. But anyway, we're going to let this sit and see what happens. Okay folks, so back with the sand clay, and we're building it up. Get it where we want it, and then we'll pack it. So it's just nice and slow work here. Most of it's got to be done by hand, because I've already got part of the footers up, but or footings, but it's not a big deal. So we're just gonna keep playing with it here and get it set up and get set up for the pillar and try to get, hopefully by the end of the day, if it goes right, I'll have most of the forms done. And I still gotta saw a tree or saw some logs up, so but we'll get it one way or the other. All right folks, we're getting there. It's hot. I'm wore out of breath, which I stay that way, but keep shoveling until I can get everything where I need it here. And then I've got to have a sort of a pit across for the exhaust, and then I got to get started on the pillar for the outboard bearing, and figure out how I'm going to do the pit for the flywheel. So we'll figure it all out as we go. Not a big deal. All right, okay, moving right along, working on it. So the plans we got are for a right-handed engine and this is left, or they're for a left and this is right. Our blueprints here, can't remember which is which. I think it says on here this is a right hand, so mine's a left hand. So this is a left hand engine and everything's backwards, so we're just having to make sure that we do the blueprints right. But we run into an issue here. So this steps down 2 inches, well 2.5 inches actually, for the cylinder. So that's not a problem to do. It's not a problem to do with the concrete, but what I ran into is the bottom of the base that goes there. The base is not showing up in the blueprints because evidently, you know, the blueprints didn't have one when they didn't use one. This base looks like, it actually looks like it was poured with no top. In other words, it's probably sand casted, but as you can see, let me see the wrinkles here. The way these wrinkles look, the way they are, it looks like maybe the casting was on the ground, maybe in the sand, and then they just poured this somehow. I don't know. I don't know how they would have gotten this, or maybe they had maybe poured upside down, and this was either one or two things: a cold casting where it wasn't hot enough, or possibly they had something besides a sand mold. But it's definitely different, and you can see a lot of holes in it and weird places. And then they have moved this hole, and they've done it, of course, with a drill. And I hope it was an electric drill, not a hand drill. So I've got to go through and knock all these out. These holes are all called for 2-inch. And what they've done is if you're off some, it's not a big deal. As you can see, they were off center on a lot of them, but you just grout around the bolts. 1-inch bolts, I think, or maybe a 1/8, and then studs. We're going to build something with probably just 1-inch bolts sticking up, because, like I said, we're not running this on a machine, or we're not running a factory with it, so I think it'll be okay. What my issue is, I don't know what to do, because I don't want to sit this thing down on there with wet concrete, but this thing's got 2 lines in it. Right here, these things stick down every bit of a 1/2 inch. Let me see. Yeah, maybe a little over 1/2 inch and about a 1/2 inch wide. So my question is do I try to sit this down on a wet concrete, or do I cut lines in the concrete and then set this down in it? Because I just don't know. I don't know what's going to be best. Maybe you can make some suggestions, because it's going to be a little while before I pour. The trough in the center of this for the exhaust tunnel is only 17 3/8 wide, and these are way farther apart than that. So it's definitely not, you know, it's supposed to be in the concrete. It's not supposed to be in the opening. So I've got to figure out what we're going to do there. And I guess that probably is made to keep it from may be moving once the cylinder is mounted down. But anyway, you can make some suggestions. I mean, I can set it on there with it wet. I just don't want to, I wouldn't want to do it with it real wet. It weighs right at 1,700 pounds. So, you know, it's not really heavy, so sitting it on there wouldn't be a problem. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out as we go. And that might be our best bet, is to actually sit it down, as long as we get it in the perfect spot. You know, that's going to be the important part. But yeah, we'll I guess jump on that and tackle it when we get there or get closer. But maybe you can make a suggestion of what you think if you know, maybe somebody's done some setup on machines or concrete, because I haven't. So all this is new to me, but we'll figure it out. I don't think I'm going to do any repairs around that hole. You know, I like that. You know, it's somebody done that, and like I said, if they done it by hand, more power to them. But we are going to knock the grout out of these holes and go from there. I'm not sure what these holes were for, but they were grouted shut, or at least them two were. And now our dash pods mount here. We're going to get that cleaned out. So we're going to clean this thing up some, but like I said, I don't want to grind or fix that hole. That's part of the story. All right, folks, still at it. It's getting dark on me. I got a question. So for anybody that's done concrete, is this going to work? I've got that is 2 inches higher than this, and I've got a board across it, steps down. So if I fill this up and then I fill this up and try to straighten it out, is this going to force this up? That's my question. And I got a feeling that it's probably going to depend on whether the concrete's dry or the concrete ain't dry. But maybe somebody can help me out anyway. I've never been in that situation, so if you've ever done that before, I think that's how they do footings for a house, you know, when you're doing your step ups and stuff. I think it's like that. I don't think they go all the way down with the board. So anyway, I'd like to keep this together as one unit, you know, because like I said, we're going to put rebar in it anyway. So maybe you can tell me that. I've got most of it done here. I've got to build two across, and then it won't get poured here. I'll probably tie them together on the ends, or maybe one end, this end, because the exhaust goes out the other way. So we'll figure out how we're going to do it, but it's got to be open through here, 17 3/4 of an inch, I believe. And where I've got that bolt at is the center of the where the exhaust is going to come down. Well, center back this way. It may not be that far over, but this engine sits offset, and you know, like I said, the left-handed and right-handed sits opposite. So we're getting it figured out though, and everything's looking good. Like I said, I just don't know about that. We're gonna pack this real well also, and gotta figure out how I'm gonna do my transition from my pier over here, because I want to connect the two together. So we'll figure that out yet. Maybe I'll leave some rebar stuck out or something. We're gonna take a little thinking here to get it figured out, but I'll eventually get it. So like I said, if this is going to be a separate pour, if I got to pour this separate from this, then I just as well build a board down it, pour this, and fill my other footing up, and then have them come back again to do this and the pier. And that would, I mean, that would work if that's what I need to do. So, all right, well, I appreciate everybody watching, and hopefully we'll have some concrete on that one and have the engine sitting on it here soon. So the engine's hanging on the crane and ready to go. We've got our paper made for the bottom of it to mark out where the bolts go. So we're going to put studs sticking up. Everything's going really well, and we're just going to keep at it here. We've got to make the trip here in the next few days for the rest of the Harrisburg engine, and I've got to figure out where I'm going to start setting it up at. And you know, this is my major goal, was this Bates engine. So You know, it'll take time, but we'll get it one way or the other. All right. Appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.